So, do you want to be a victim or a victor?
Be a victor.
And speaking about that, I don't know if you've heard about how Stuart Lynn went from a victim to a victor.
Uh-oh.
Wait till you hear.
Wow.
Wow.
What do you want to be?
That's gonna be
Victim
good.
or victor? We're going to talk about what it means to be a victim or a victor on this episode of Coffee with Ken. Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
We've got Ken Brown. He's CEO of Destiny Global, General Manager, Butch McCracken. I'm Dr. April Brown, Executive Vice President. We're so glad to have y'all join us. And that is what we're talking about. What does it mean to be a victim? And what does it mean to be a victor? What's the difference?
Well, there's a big difference.
Right.
One is there's
Well, is it a
circumstances.
mindset?
It is absolutely a mindset, and it can be something that's brought in because there are real victims. There's people who suffered heinous
Exactly.
things against themselves.
Sure.
But then they have to realize, do I want to own that the rest of my life? Do you take one trauma and allow that to dictate the rest of your life, or do you work past that and become a victor? And all of us can do that. And sometimes we can become a self-inflicted victim, which is the worst kind, that everything is against me. Oh, well, it's the oh, woe is me syndrome instead of oh, look at me go syndrome. Which one do you want? Because you can't have both.
I get a picture of a little meme that I saw about two guys riding on a bus going to Africa. It's that old story. They're shoe salesmen, and they look out the window, and the one guy goes, "I can't believe this. I'm not going to get any sales. Nobody wears shoes." Victim. And the other guy's looking with excitement going, "Oh my gosh, look at all the opportunity. No one owns shoes." Right?
It's huge.
One's a victim, like, poor me,
Yeah.
can't believe this. The other one's like, "Hi, where do I start?" Type
It's
of thing.
very interesting because as you were saying that story, I actually think of one of our clients. He was at an event, asked a question about nobody knows about home staging
Okay.
in our area.
Sarah
Small
Bay.
town.
So get out
And
there
how-
and educate them.
Yes, and how asking that question, she began to realize what the opportunity was instead of nobody knows about staging, how she can educate people on how much higher they can get their home sold for.
Yeah.
So it just became this thing how to educate realtors, and she was the only one really in her area that she was able and took that to a very successful business from a hobby. So we have
I've seen it.
multiple things like that of clients who have done that. But it really comes into, seeing the opportunity. How can I do this? And
Right.
instead of, whoa me, I can't do this.
Yeah. There's opportunity in everything.
Right. Yeah.
That's how you choose to look at it.
It is. But when someone takes on that victim mentality, man, it can be so. It's number one is it can draw the people into it. So you have to be careful who you're hanging out because that becomes. Show me your 5 closest friends, and I'll show you your future. That is so true. But when you have someone that's in a victim mentality, you can be around really good people and you can have 4 really good people and one that way, and it will affect mindsets. I've seen it time and time and time again because it starts creeping in, and something didn't go well. Instead of owning, well, I didn't make the time, but
Yeah.
or and the other side is when someone, and I've even faced it myself, is when I've gotten injured doing something, and then my ego kicks in, and then I want to do it too much, instead of just being satisfied and walking the dog or whatever it is for 4 miles, whatever it is, but just hitting and taking what your body's giving you instead of trying to stretch too far. Because what you get into is, well, I just couldn't do it again. I tried, but I couldn't. Victim mentalities can play on both sides of that.
Yeah. It's paralyzing to have a victim mentality. It just it holds you back.
We've seen people lose years of their life just focused on the negative instead of getting past that and realizing. And a lot of that has to do with some core things. And you were talking about, obviously, Stuart. And one of the things he talked about when he was at the Business Results Conference, where you were actually, Sarah was where she talked about that. Home staging. Can I make a business of that? She did, right? But the reality is, that when you think about people that have adopted that victim mentality and where they're going, they allow themselves to fall into a cycle that they hold on to something that Stuart learned the trick about is forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, even if it's yourself, there's something you're typically holding on to. To be a victim, something occurred. Some problem happened, or you're not a victim. Then you're just
Right.
making excuses,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But even that you can see a circumstance that you were the victim in,
Mm-hmm.
and not really getting past that,
Mm-hmm.
and able to see what good came out of it, or what possibility came, what obstacles you can overcome or did overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, and just really looking at yourself as an overcomer and victor instead of that victim. And,
Woe was me.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So
Yeah.
true. So true.
And
So
it really
true.
is like that mindset, because like even that where people can say, I have the worst of luck, or you believe something like that, well, then that's most likely going to be that self-fulfilling prophecy that you're going to have the awful luck because you believe that you have this awful luck, and that's all about
Mhm.
luck instead of what you do
Mm-hmm.
to make things happen.
Sure. So good.
And there's so many stories from Dr. Seuss and how many books to, is it
Mhm.
J.R.R. Tolkien or the Harry Potter lady, you know, time after time, Thomas Edison,
Mhm.
what did he try 1,000
Yeah.
times? And
Yep.
all he said was, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I just found 1,000 ways it didn't work,
Right.
right?
And so I found
Yeah.
the
It's that
one
perspective.
Yeah.
That did. Right.
But if he would have stopped short,
Mm-hmm.
you know, most people, heck, who knows, I might have stopped
Right.
at 10.
Right.
This just
Mm.
doesn't work.
Yep.
He took up to 1,000 times because he knew, he believed in his idea.
Well, when you know something to be true and you've seen it, obviously seeing what lightning would do,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that how to harness that power into something and watch it come alive,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
when you see something happen, you know it can be done because you've seen it. You just didn't know how to produce it in a different form. But
Well, that's where actually problems is where innovation comes,
mhm.
because every innovation has come from solving a problem that somebody had.
Yeah.
You just you've found a problem and you just seeking to find a solution for it.
Or you thinking how to, Steve Jobs was brilliant at taking something that wasn't necessarily a problem, but he wanted something to be better
Mm-hmm.
and totally flipping it upside down.
Yeah.
Revolutionizing and making it so that it's applicable and useful for everybody.
And the killer was, with every one of those stories, it's not easy.
Mhm.
Like
No,
we see the
it didn't
invention or
just
the book
happen
written or
and-
Apple.
Right.
It's the journey up to that point of
People have no idea.
everything. It
No
doesn't
idea.
even have to be that big,
Right.
you know,
Right.
in your own life. It's,
Yeah.
we've
They
said
look
it
where
before.
people are and they think that's where
Yeah, oh, they're lucky.
I should be there.
Lucky.
Right. When they've done all this work. behind-
Sleepless nights,
Right.
sleeping on a couch at doing whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because they had such a conviction.
Yeah.
But what it took to get there.
Yep.
Right.
Well, yeah. And people just don't have the idea. And, when you think about that, you look at Stuart Lynn, and he's one of them. What did you tell me? See, $37,000 a year, having to borrow money for those light and Christmas presents for his kids. And he
Yeah.
went to school, got his degree, and had all this stuff. Oh, this is supposed to be better than that. But he didn't take the victim mentality. He's like, I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to
Yeah.
find a way. Came to one of the events, and he has never looked back.
Nope, and
Man
still
is-
continues and
yeah.
brings his teams
Yeah,
through and
multiple
family
businesses.
and multiple businesses he
Ve-
owns.
But
Very
it's not.
successful.
Yes, and it's beyond the business now. Is him focusing on him.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
All
I
these
love to see
crazy
that.
things I see him do now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Triathlon stuff.
yeah.
He put that on his goal, and I know he's already done a couple of, but he wants to do the full thing, the Iron Man.
He wants to do 4 in 1 year. I told him when I
Oh.
saw him, I go, you do that and you're my hero. I mean, that
Yeah.
is a time commitment,
Mm-hmm.
a perseverance, because he's got multi-million-dollar businesses he's running,
Mm-hmm.
in addition to
Right.
fitting that in.
Mm-hmm.
But he fits it
That's-
in.
That's very inspiring.
Yeah.
So it's business, personal, these
Mm-hmm.
skills. And where do you get these skills?
At an event.
Well, we just had one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just coming off of it that was
Well,
knee-knocking fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And you know where we're going.
Some
So
of the stuff that hadn't been talked about in a while, and just covering and clients getting more of what is going to help them be successful and go to the next level. It was just extremely, including Next Gen. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, Carmen just bringing it for Next Gen, and she's always dynamic, powerful, teaches. She has such a passion for it. And
Yes.
just comes through for Next Gen and for them to get the skills that will help them to be successful, not having to worry and not having to live paycheck to paycheck, not just
So
learning
good.
how to do a business, but keep the money and how to give. And then they were able to give
Yeah.
for King's Ransom Foundation. It's
Mhm.
just as we go into the marketplace,
Yes.
how last time they were able to give, and just thinking of all the successful businesses that are going to come from this to go to Next Gen Marketplace in July.
Yeah.
Speaking of, that's when our next event is in
July 11th through 13th.
That's right.
And we
Yeah.
are targeting Indianapolis, Indiana. For all you Midwesterners, yes, we're coming. You heard it right. You heard it here. We are coming to Indianapolis. It's going to be a fantastic venue. You do not want to miss this. We know that this is going to be, I am absolutely predicting this is going to be our largest event, and it is at a major, we're back at the
We
Hyatt.
already have so many people
that
who
are
bring
already-
people, and they're
yes.
just
From that
like,
area.
okay, the people that have been wanting to come, if you will just come close to us, that we will bring our people. So we're really excited about this.
We did it. We did our
Yeah,
part. Now it's
we
time
did
you
our
to do your
part.
part. We want to
We're
see
so
you there.
excited.
This is going to be
We-
it, man.
Have we ever been to Indianapolis?
Not in my, what is
You're-
it, 14 years.
right.
I've never been to Indianapolis.
Okay, so this is exciting. It's
Yeah.
a very exciting thing.
So
we
get
would
ready and
love
hold
to
on,
see
and we're
you
going to be like the
get
Indianapolis
your
500.
ticket and get
Yes.
your
Yes.
hotel room block.
Yes.
All of that information
because
is
it
below.
will- yeah, click the
This
link
is
below.
going to. It is going to sell out. We tell you that before. We already hit the room blocks and all of them, but this event is going to sell out.
Right,
100%.
and people get so frustrated because they can't get their room. So
Get it
Get
your
it
now.
ticket,
now.
get your room,
No reason to
get
wait.
everything,
Yes.
so that you can be ready to go.
Yes.
Like, get your mind now, because July is just a perfect time, right after that mid-year, to just finish strong for the end of the year. You're at this point and you think, okay, I'm not really hitting my goals, but you still have goals for the end of the year. You want to be at this event. 'Cause
Yes.
that is just going to propel you into the end of the year to hit your goals.
That's
We
right.
started in January talking about goals and I will and things and if you did that in January, you definitely want to be in July mid-year to help you hit those goals
That's
for
right.
the end of
We
the
wanna
year
make
to
it-
Right.
keep the momentum
Yes,
going.
for sure.
So we're really excited about it. We would love to see you there, but we're so glad you joined us here on Coffee with Ken.
Yes.
And come back, join us next time.
Yeah.
And
Tell everybody.
yeah,
like, share.
share. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time. Bye.
See you, gang.